guys, so I'm Kirsty and I'm a paid social specialist here at TAG, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about compelling paid social ad copy that converts. So first up, throughout the whole presentation, if you have any questions, if you just scan this QR code or join on slido.com, you can ask a question there and then we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So what is the purpose of ad copy? So ad copy is used for a number of reasons. Number one, we use it to help increase our conversion rate. So we do this through our conversion campaigns, and the copy will then focus on registrations and then push the user to obviously carry out that registration that you're looking for. Number two, we also can use this to increase website traffic. So we do this by highlighting specific highlights on your website. So this will also lead us into number three, which is increasing our remarketing audience size. So we do this by pushing people to your website or through engagement campaigns. This encourages the users to interact with your ad, both of which we can then create audiences from and then retarget to later on down the line. So we have listed some successful campaign fundamentals. There are a number of factors that make up a successful ad campaign. So we need relevant targeting. This is done through job titles, interests, remarketing audiences, lookalike audiences. We also need relevant placements. So these come in the form of your story ads, your in-feed ads, your desktop ads, and this also ties in with your creative. So we need captivating images and or videos. We would always recommend using a combination of both of these creatives in order to achieve maximum results. And finally, we have your compelling ad copy. So your ad copy has to inform the user of what action you would like them to take. The two most important factors we have here is your ad creative and your ad copy. So your captivating creative is generally used to grab the user's attention, whilst your compelling ad copy encourages the user to carry out your campaign's overall objective, all whilst remaining relevant to your creative. So why is ad copy so important? Ad copy is really important as it is the main reason why a user will respond to or carry out your desired action. So it's important that you get your copy right. It's essentially the hook of the ad. So you need to highlight the key components of your event, all whilst communicating them to your target audience in a clear and concise way. It also allows you to tailor ads to specific audiences, helping you to push relevant messaging to the correct person. We can also use it to push users down the funnel with more informative messaging, and the top of the funnel, we would use more specific messaging we would use more informative messaging at the top of the funnel, and then as we go down the funnel, we'd start to use more specific messaging. So we've also listed some key components to write an effective ad copy. The first one being, it is important that you have one campaign objective. This way, all of your ads can be streamlined with one end goal, whether that be a conversion campaign for visitor registrations or an engagement campaign for post engagements or page likes. You also need to use copy that captures the attention of your audience. So you have to make sure that the copy is relevant to your objective. It's important that you firstly define your goal. Are you wanting brochure downloads, visitor registrations, or someone to watch a video? This all needs to be determined before you create your relevant copy. And finally, we have a prominent call to action. So the copy needs to direct the user or encourage them to carry out the action you want them to take on your website. So we do this through a clear and prominent call to action. The call to action can go in both the copy and the headline, depending on who you're targeting, but you will generally find this in the headline section and also through the call to action buttons that are provided by Facebook and LinkedIn. So before we provide our 5 tips to writing ad copy, we're just going to recap the funnel structure, as we do tend to use different copy at different stages of the funnel. So we have the top of the funnel, which is your awareness and interest section. Here we would use our job titles and interests So these contain users who aren't familiar with your brand, but they are within your target audience. As you move down to the middle of the funnel, we then move towards interest and consideration through our lookalike audiences. Lookalike audiences are created from our remarketing audiences, and we can also target different percentages here. So the higher the percentage, the further away you're getting from that remarketing source. And lastly, we have our bottom of the funnel, which is all of your remarketing audiences and custom audiences. So these are created from your website traffic, engage with your Facebook page, engage with your Instagram page, data lists, and there's also a couple others that we can target here as well. So at this stage of the funnel, the users are already familiar with your event. So 5 tips for writing compelling social ad copy. So we put together a list for you. So we've got number 1, which is tie your text to your visual. 2, stick to one call to action. 3, communicating the who, what, when, where, and why. 4, test different ad copies. And then finally, number 5 would be to align your copy with your bottom of the funnel and then your top of the funnel, middle of the funnel audiences. So number 1, tying your text to your creative. So your ad copy and creative need to complement one another. Social platforms rely really heavily on visuals, so it's important that your copy aligns with your creative. The creative is also the first part of the ad that will grab the user's attention, so it's important that you explain to them what you're trying to achieve with the copy. Also, if the ad copy makes a connection with your creative, it will encourage the user to then proceed to your website and then carry out your desired action. Also, make sure all the components of your ad all work together. So you've got your headline, your call to action button, your text. They all have to reflect the same end goal. And again, this will make the users more likely to want to learn more or sign up. And also, you can be repetitive here. So you can have your main objective in your text, your headline, and your call to action button. But again, it's also fine to just have kind of that push to register in the headline. Number 2, we have stick to one call to action. So using call to actions to lead your audience to carry out your objective. So whether that's sign up to attend, inquire to exhibit, try and be as clear and concise as possible. On Facebook, we recommend trying to stick to that 1-line headline. You can go over to the 2 lines if you want. However, keeping it to 1 ensures that you're being quite concise here. Also, make sure your visual ad copy and call to action are aligned again. And also as well, your call to actions can vary between bottom of the funnel and top of the funnel, middle of the funnel. So for bottom of the funnel, you can use a slightly more aggressive approach with your push to registers of, for example, you can use don't forget to register. And then for top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, you can be a lot more casual about it. So you can kind of say registration now open, learn more. There's lots of options here. So what does a strong headline and call to action look like? So we've done some analysis of our historic ad copy in Facebook, and we can see that the average click-through rate was 0.8% across all of our Bizprom event ads. So from this, we then analysed all of our headlines in relation to this click-through rate, and we found that the following 5 headlines resulted in a higher click-through rate. So first up, we have keynote and speaker announcement. So this had the strongest click-through rate at 1.34%. So this type of headline would include highlighting who your keynote speaker is. So you could use something along the lines of hear from, insert your speaker's name. Then we had the access headline. So this had the second strongest click-through rate at 1.22%. And these can be a number of different things, from access to full report to direct access to 250,000 people. So that headline is obviously slightly more broad. Then we just have your more basic ones of find out more, buy tickets, and last chance / urgency messaging. These are really common headlines that we use regularly. And as you can see, they all have strong click-through rates, and they're all higher than around 0.9%. So something that we get asked quite a lot is, should I mention free in the headline? So to answer this, we have compared headlines that contained free in relation to the ones that didn't, and found that there's not actually a massive difference between using the term free in the ad. Both stayed pretty close to our average click-through rate of 0.8%. But the headlines that didn't contain free did have a slightly stronger click-through rate at 0.82%. So if you are swaying between either one, it would be worthwhile to run a test to see which headline resonates more with your audience. So what works for one of your events might not work for the other, which is why we encourage you to test as much as possible. So number 3 of our tips is communicating the who, what, when, where, and why. So these are our 5 W's, and we would recommend using these where possible. So this can be applied across all stages of the funnel. However, it does work really well for top of the funnel and mid of the funnel, as these users are less familiar with your event and they do need more information. Also, by including these details, you're helping to ensure the users have all of the information that they need. So when they do engage with the ad, they become a warmer engagement as they've already received a lot of your key information. So we have an example here from a Facebook ad for GITEX, and we can see how it's answered each of the W's. So we have the who, which is GITEX, and obviously on Facebook and LinkedIn, it's quite easy to do the who because it comes from your Facebook or LinkedIn page anyway, but it also doesn't hurt to add it into the copy. We've got the what, which is the biggest tech show of the year. We have the when, so it's the 17th to 21st of October, the where, Dubai World Trade Center, and then the why would be the building long-lasting relationships. We also have another example from LinkedIn. So this is a Beauty World ad. So the who is Beauty World, the what, the beauty industry, when, 5th to the 7th of October, where, Dubai, and your why would be discover trends that are shaping the future. So using the 5 W's is a really good checklist, just to double check that you're including all of the relevant information in a clear and concise way. So moving to number 4 of our tips would be to test different ad copy lengths. So the option is there on Facebook and LinkedIn to use longer ad copy, but this doesn't mean that you need to utilise the space. The most important thing is that you get your point across and your target audience understand the message that you're trying to convey. Testing different ad copy does allow you to constantly keep track of the performance of each of the ads, and then you can then make optimizations based off of what image and copy combination is working best across each of your ad sets. We have 2 examples here with different overall conversions. So from the examples, you can see that both the long and short copy generated a strong number of conversions. However, the shorter copy with the 30% of overall conversions was added later in the campaign, and it did generate a higher number of conversions at a faster rate. So this is why it is super important for you to test both long and short copy in order to see what resonates more with your target audience, and then you can also use that for future campaigns. Finally, we have our 5th tip of aligning your copy with your audiences. So first up, we have our top of the funnel and middle of the funnel audiences. So if you are using these stages of the funnel, it is recommended that you create copy that introduces the user to your brand, whilst also making your objective clear. You can use the 5 W's here as a checklist to help you cover all of the key points that you want to make. The top of the funnel, middle of the funnel copy can also be more descriptive and a bit more lighthearted. These users are familiar with your brand, so will need more, aren't familiar with your brand, sorry. So they will need more information to encourage them to convert. You also don't need to force the user to convert at this stage of the funnel. However, it's not uncommon for them to convert here. But simply getting them to click or engage with your ad will push them down the funnel, where they will then fall into our remarketing category, and they'll start to receive the bottom of the funnel ads, where they'll then start to see more of a push to register messaging. Then we have aligning your copy with your bottom of the funnel audiences. So this kind of copy can be super easy to create if you build the copy around the call to action and a key feature. You can also take the event's tagline that's usually found on the homepage of the event and then pair that with the call to action as well. That can work really effectively. Also, we would also recommend using numbers, discounts and offers. Obviously, this is objective dependent, but this also does help to encourage users to carry out your desired action. And we do have some examples of some strong bottom of the funnel copy. So first up, we have Register for Future of Energy Week to attend 10 plus industry leading sessions. So we have the call to action there, and then we have some numbers outlining some key features. Another one would be register now for Light Middle East, the region's #1 networking and sourcing platform. So we have, again, the call to action, but we also have a tagline that was taken from the event page that also works really well. And then the other two as well, you also see the call to actions there. So we have some examples of different tests that we ran for long versus short copy. So the first up is some top of the funnel and middle of the funnel examples. So testing multiple different copy lengths allowed us to see which length of copy the users engaged with most. So we can see here where the top performing copy was, and then from this information, what we would then do is we would then optimize the campaigns. So we would pause any of the non-performing ads, and we would replace these with new ads, which use similar copy to the ad that's highlighted. And then that way, we're using copy that's more attractive to our target audience. We then have some bottom of the funnel copy. So these examples here, the copy is slightly shorter and the call to action has been included within the text. So the top performing ad here used a combination of a shorter tagline from the website and then also the register today call to action. We also used a more aggressive headline here of don't forget to register for free. As previously mentioned, the bottom funnel audiences are already familiar with your event and they don't really need that. They might need that extra push to convert, so you can be slightly more aggressive here. The shortest copy here we can see was the top performing, which is pretty common across the bottom of the funnel. As the user is already familiar with their events, they just need that final push to get them to register. So we have added some additional LinkedIn ad strategy as well. LinkedIn ads do follow a similar structure to Facebook, as they also include a text box, creative, headline, call to action button, and all of the previous tips still apply to LinkedIn. However, there are some additional tips that we can use when creating the copy for LinkedIn. So it's important to keep in mind that LinkedIn is a different social media platform to Facebook. It is a more professional platform, and the members there are there for a reason. Whether that be to advertise a new job opening, looking for new jobs, or even to exhibit an event. The best practice here would be to ensure that your copy differs from what you have running on Facebook. However, we have still seen strong results on LinkedIn when we have used the same copy across both platforms. And it's important to test different copy just to see what works best across both platforms. So some key takeaways for us would be use ad copy to help achieve your campaign objective. So by tailoring your copy to your objective, your campaigns will have a stronger performance in the long run. Try and utilize the 5 tips for writing compelling ad copy. So make sure your copy aligns with your creative. The creative will grab the user's attention and the copy will push them to carry out your campaign objective. Try and stick to one call to action. This also makes it clear what your overall campaign objective is. Communicate the 5 W's where possible. This ensures that you're including all of your key points. Try and test different ad copy lengths. So it's important to find what copy length works best for your target audience. And this also helps us to optimize the campaigns as we can see what is working well and what should be paused. And finally, tailor your ads to your target audience. Your top of the funnel and middle of the funnel audiences are not familiar with your event, so need more information. So the goal here is to have them engage with your ads so you can later remarket to them through the bottom of the funnel ads, which are more of a push to register. And our last key takeaway would be you need to assess whether you need a different strategy for LinkedIn. Sometimes the copy can be the same as Facebook, however, it is a more professional platform and the copy needs to reflect that. But again, it is important to test here to find out what resonates best with your target audience. So we have some questions from Slido. So number 1, how many variations of copy would you recommend you use? So I would recommend probably 3 copy variations with 3 different images. So you have about 9 ads in your ad set. However, if you are wanting to run to multiple different locations and you have a higher number of ad sets, we probably then limit this to maybe 2 variations with 3 different images. But it's basically all dependent on your target as well. But standard, I would stick with 3 variations and 3 images. Is it okay to change your ad copy throughout your campaign? Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing to note here is don't change your ad copy too close to your event. Whenever you do make a change in your ads or in your campaign, your campaigns will go back into the learning phase, which might hinder performance ever so slightly. So if you are wanting to make copy changes, we recommend doing them at least 2 weeks out. So don't do anything within the 2 weeks to your campaign, to your event, sorry, and try and do any of your changes before that, just to allow the campaigns to come out the learning phase. But yeah, absolutely change your ad copy. And like I mentioned as well, change your ad copy based off on what's top performing. Would you discourage using a register now call to action to top of the funnel audiences? No, not at all. Again, probably test what works best here. I think obviously when you are running a VizProm campaign, you are more inclined to do the register now. However, if you aren't seeing conversions with that, test something else. Maybe test having a key feature in your headline, something that's like an event highlight or something that will still push the user to interact with your ad or interact with your website, and then that way they'll see more of the push to register ads as you move down the funnel. Should you always include the event date and venue in the copy? Not necessarily. Sometimes we would add this into the description box. However, the description box doesn't always show. So if you're really wanting to push your event date and your venue, I would always just have it as an option at the bottom. And basically what Facebook will do is they'll have like the see more button. So you'll have your key information at the top, your see more button will then include your event date and your venue. I've started to do that kind of as a rule of thumb, just because a lot of the time my description boxes have been disappearing. But you can test both, or you could also potentially put your event date and your venue in the image, and that way it's always there. And then you can also, that way you've got like shorter copy against your ad. I think that's everything. Yeah, cool. So thanks guys for joining. If you do have any more questions, just drop me an email at kirsty@tagdigital.co.uk. This is our last webinar of the year, but we will have plenty more in 2022. So we'll see you in the new year.